All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my weekly review for this week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead Season 5. This is for Episode 3, Humbug's Gulch. And major spoiler warning, if you guys have not seen this episode yet, you're going to want to watch it before you watch this review. Okay, so another really good episode for Fear the Walking Dead. And if you haven't seen it, because I know some people watch these videos just to kind of find out what happens if they didn't get a chance to watch the episode. So no problem. Third episode of the 5th season, off to a great start. And this is the appearance, spoiler warning, for Dwight. Oh, awesome, man. So we knew that Dwight was going to be coming in to Fear the Walking Dead. We didn't know exactly when it was going to be, and it turns out this is the episode, and I feel like it's really good. I mean, better than I thought it was actually going to be, because when you just hear about it, it's like, okay, they're going to do another crossover character. They're going to do Dwight this year in season 5. It's like, okay, fine, that's fine, whatever. Dwight is a character where, going back to the original Walking Dead series, he starts off as a hardcore villain, killing Denise, for example. And also kind of turning on Daryl with Sherry. And then he, over time, kind of redeems himself with Negan and with helping Rick and the others. And then kind of he's cast out or he's banished by who is now really the lead for the original Walking Dead series, if there is one, with Daryl, of course, telling him if he ever comes back that he'll kill him. So Dwight can never return to the original series, or as long as Daryl's there, or unless Daryl gives him some kind of pardon or something. So this was a really awesome episode, and that by itself, could have been something they could have, focused on most of the episode, and they focused on it a bit, but of course there's a lot of different stuff happening in Fear right now, and it was great to see Dwight back again. It was great that he's not just kind of off in the background there, and is not in any of the Walking Dead properties, and it's just kind of a abandoned character. I love that they brought him into Fear like this, and they made it kind of a spotlight for him in his story, that he's basically been out there running around all over the place for at least a year or maybe two, a while anyway, based on what he said, about a year or so, looking for Sherry. So going all over the place, looking for her, seeing the symbol, right? What's it called? Ouroboros, or they did have an episode of Fear called Ouroboros, where with a snake eating its own tail, which is the symbol that you kind of see, and that was kind of fun in that episode. It was a season 2 or 3, so it was somewhere around there. And you had this zombie that was like eating, what was it? Was it crabs or something? You had this zombie with its guts open. He was eating, and then they'd fall out, and then he'd eat it again, then he'd fall out, and he'd and they just keep going. It's like the zombie. It's like the worst fate ever. Just this zombie eating these things that just keep coming down below. Or it wasn't crabs. It was like some kind of I forget, like scorpions or something like that. I don't know, something of the sort. Whatever it was, eating and then dropping, eating and then coming out of its open stomach and then doing it again. So it's kind of cool, to see Dwight in Fear and to see this. So he's basically been going around for looking for Sherry, and he's finding these messages. Now, this is one that I think is very interesting, because it's possible that he's seeing things and, that she's either already gone or like she's dead, and he's just seeing messages in stuff as he's going around losing his mind by himself. And then he's following, these messages, and he thinks that they're being left by. So it's very possible that that he's just kind of, and they kind of play on that a little bit in the episode, that this car that he thinks is her car, it's not her car. So he's kind of becoming delusional as he's going through, and he's on this he's on this track, he's on this chase to try to find Sherry, and we're not even sure for certain if she is actually leaving messages on the other side. So this is something in the future could be really cool, because they could actually use this in Fear, or they could play with this a little bit and kind of have Dwight maybe continue to look for her, and then maybe eventually he could possibly find her in Fear, which could be really cool and would be a really heartfelt moment. I like that they also used John and June to be the ones to kind of introduce him first, in a way, because they had lost each other last season, so it ties in really nicely, and then they had found each other again. Whether or not that happens for Dwight with Sherry remains to be seen. I'd probably lean towards I don't think it will, but you never know. It could be something they could use in the future with Dwight for his character, and it could be really good. So I loved all of that. In addition to just him kind of coming in and kind of us getting the background and finding out what happened to him and everything, that he's just kind of been on this chase looking for her, going everywhere, and Morgan and the others just happen to be out in this area, and they happen to run into each other because also there are not that many survivors still alive right now. This many years in the zombie apocalypse, most people are dead, so they're going to run into different people, yes, but there are not all that many people that are probably out running around all over the place looking for people and doing the stuff that Morgan and his group are doing, which lends itself to them running into people like Dwight and it feeling natural and not contrived to see him there, which is pretty cool. So I liked all of that. I also love the Western. So they go to this kind of like a Western type of Humbug's Gulch, a fair type of place where it's like a, old school. You get like a brothel there. So, and he covers by saying they serve soup. That's all. I love that. And what an awesome episode for John and also for June too. Kind of support, but John with the spotlight in this one with the trick shots and everything, which was really cool because we kind of knew that about John before, but we just got so much more of a spotlight episode for him in this one too, where they go through this Western kind of festival place, and he kind of reveals that he's they go through these different trick shots, right? San Antonio Split, which was probably the best moment of the episode is when Dwight is kind of in a bad spot. He's been shot, of course. So he's down. He's covered by a bigger zombie, and he can't get him off. He can't press him off at the moment. And then you have two coming in, and John is a little bit too far back to get there in time to stop them. So they got to do a trick shot where he asks Dwight to put up the axe, and then John shoots it right at and then splits it and kills two at once with the last shot he has. Only shot they've got. Otherwise, Dwight is surely dead. So that was such a fun scene. I love the scene. I thought it was amazing. I love to see John in Fear the Walking Dead. He's one of the best new characters they've come up with. And really, I think what we're seeing right now with Season 5 is how good the new characters that they brought in Season 4 actually are. Some of them are awesome. John and June are really good. I also like Althea, of course, too, in her own way, even though she's not in this episode. But man, they brought in some really interesting characters, and it's really fun to see John. In some ways, he kind of reminds me of Rick a little bit. You see with the sheriff's hat and everything, because John's kind of got the hat too. It's not the same though. It's not like John is very different from Rick. He's very different from Rick. So I like that, but he has things about him that kind of remind me of Rick a little bit in some ways, right? With the Colt that comes in with the python and he's shooting it, But it is really cool when you get kind of the Western kind of standoff type of idea, and you have Dwight is stuck and there's just all these walkers all around him smashing up the car. And so John's like, all right, screw this. So he takes all the guns out, boom, 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 boom. It's fun. I like when he fires from the hip. That's fun too, right? So that's cool. And he just never misses. It's just boom, 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 boom. All these zombies going down. So it's fun from an action kind of. People who like Westerns. I think Norman Reedus would probably like this one. He always says he compared Walking Dead Season 9 to like a Western. In some way. So I bet if he saw this episode, he'd like it. I guarantee he'd like it. So it's really fun stuff, man. I loved all the stuff with with John and June and them meeting Dwight and how nice they are to him, and that Dwight's kind of playing with this. Is he going to get along with him? Is he going to, because at first he's trying to kill him, and then he gets, kind of knocked out and shot and everything. And, it just kind of comes in naturally that John and June, they're so nice and everything, and they're kind of trusting, and they basically untie him right away and everything, and they try to get out of there, and they try to help him and save him. So it's really fun, and it really has a cool feel that the Fear the Walking Dead group really just feels like they're a group of good guys. It feels like you've got Morgan. Sure, he's done a lot of stuff, and that comes to his mind when he gets to see Dwight again. He's happy to see Dwight, but then again, it sort of just brings in all these things because Dwight sort of knows more about him that maybe the others don't know, that he, in All Out War was an absolute, just monster going around, just like the Grim Reaper, just killing everybody, all the saviors he could find, just everybody. And they probably think of Alicia probably thinks of Morgan as he's a nice guy. It's like Master Splinter, he's got the staff is more like, what is it? What has he got now? A shovel or something? But there's things about Morgan that they don't know, and Dwight knows this stuff. He's seen the darker side of Morgan and kind of the clear mode Morgan, and I feel like the Fear the Walking Dead group does not know clear mode Morgan, but Dwight does, and I think Dwight's actually a little scared of Morgan in some ways, right? I think, which he probably should be, right? So good stuff. There's some fear right there. So it was fun to see them kind of meet each other in the episode. It was really cool, and I loved all the stuff with Morgan. Morgan so far this season has not been that heavy of a concentration, and I think it's been great for the show. He was last year, at the forefront. And I feel like, they kind of have addressed that this year, where it's like he's there and he's still your forefront character, but you're giving the other characters a chance to shine. In this episode, Dwight and John get to shine, and then Alicia has had more time before as well. She's always kind of one of the main ones, but he's been doing a good job, Daniel, and they've been doing a good job of giving out the time really well, so that it doesn't just feel like the Morgan and Friends show, which last year was one of the things a lot of people had had kind of commented or said. So, and John calls her Junebug, which I thought was cute, so that's fine. So I like that. It was all good stuff and everything with that. So then we get the other stuff here. Which, and the intro was cool too. They've been changing the intros each episode, which I think is fun. Again, Fear the Walking Dead has its own feel. It's got seriousness in there too, but it's got some lighter comedy and some fun stuff, like we got to see in this one with the trick shot. And I just think it has a really nice blend for viewers, right? So we've also got the stuff going on with the kids, which, so this episode for me was basically perfect. Oh yeah, and Dwight calls them walkers. And Joe's like, what'd you call them? Walkers. That's so cool, right? So there's some kind of fun Easter eggy type moments in this one. The past. I'm sorry, I can't do the accent. It's terrible. I know. I do it anyway though, because I'm just having fun with you guys. But so I thought this was close. So you have Alicia and Lucy in this one, who kind of take a backseat in this one. They've got a few scenes where they're looking for the kids, and they get the car goes off because they get spiked. Spikes in the road. But they weren't a huge concentration in the episode. They were there, and Morgan was there too. But kind of just all coming in at the end when they kind of all rejoin. They're looking for Althea, and just not really, not that much concentration on it. They're there, but it's what it is. You have the kids. So up until here, this episode was like a perfect 10 for me. And then we get to the last part with the truck stop and the kids and everything, and Dylan and the kids acting like they got jumped and there's blood everywhere and stuff like this. So we basically, in this one, find out that the kids... so this is kind of the end moment of the episode for us. The kids have been the ones who are... tying up these zombies by whatever that is they're using, guts or whatever, I don't know, what a rope or whatever it is, and cutting them up and doing all this stuff with them. And so it's kind of revealed in this one that it's sort of a twist that the kids are actually evil, it seems, or they're the ones who are doing all this and nobody is actually after them. So I don't like this one. You have Morgan who asks Alicia to appeal to them, and she does. She talks about losing her mom and her brother, which I thought was another great scene. Like I said, for me it was basically a perfect episode right up until the kind of the twist at the end that the kids are evil. I don't know, man. That one I'm not for 100%. I didn't really like it too much. Kind of the kids being evil type of idea, or them being the ones who have been doing all this and then playing possum and kind of messing with the group, and this kind of twist at the end. They've sort of done this kind of thing before with Charlie in season 4 a little bit, which I thought worked really great. I thought that was amazing. In this case, I feel like it's not... I kind of would have preferred if they'd have just brought in some super badass villain that's really fearsome and really scary, and like Taka, for example. There was a part here where I was thinking like, okay, maybe you have Taka and he's been, cutting out their guts and wrapping them in intestines or whatever, which is like a native torture tactic. If you haven't heard about that, they'd, cut it and they'd unravel your gut. It's brutal, right? You unravel, and they're long too. They're really long. If you didn't know about that. Anyway, but no, it's just the kids. So, it's what it is. It's an okay twist, I guess, at the end. I was just sitting there thinking like, okay, I don't know. It's not that, they're not that scary, not that fearsome. Obviously, they didn't take Althea, because that's not connected with them so far as we know yet. But maybe these kids kind of became deranged and crazy because of, I don't know, Commonwealth soldiers taking people, like the one who tased and took Althea. Or if it's the helicopter group and they're not the Commonwealth, that's fine too. We'll see. But all in all, I'm like, it's okay with the kids. It's okay. But maybe Alicia will figure it out because, of course, they did have Charlie before. So maybe they learned from seeing Charlie that you can't really necessarily trust kids, even if they're younger, whatever. They seem innocent. They may not be. So I'm thinking Dylan might play possum here. He might try to, kind of manipulate them. But I don't think it's going to work this time, because it's, they've seen it before. So in terms of score, I'm going to give this one a 9.4 out of 10. Like I said, right up until the end, I thought it was amazing, and I'm just not a huge fan because I don't think the kids are that scary. I mean, they're there. It's what it is. The Walking Dead sort of did that last year in season 9 with Michonne, where you have kind of these evil kids, and they're feeding to the lady and stuff. They're bringing people in and doing that, and Daryl and Michonne. So, yeah, it's okay, I guess. But everything else in the episode was awesome, and I thought everything else was much better than kind of the way it ended off. But that's okay. Whatever. They're doing a lot of different stuff, as we got to see in this episode. They're jam-packing with lots of stuff, so let's see where they're going with it. I don't want to judge it too prematurely when they just had that twist at the end and we didn't see. Also, there's a question of if they've been the ones doing this, how did they get the heads up there and stuff like that? Because if that wasn't Dwight, if that was the kids, which we've got confirmation now that it is, basically, how the hell did they get up there? I mean, it just seems like something like that you wouldn't expect for them to be the ones to do. It's something that looked like a really scary villain, and now we're finding out it's not really, and it's like, that's okay, I guess. Anyway, that's my review for Humbug Gulch. I don't want to be negative. Awesome episode. I loved it. I love seeing Dwight in Fear the Walking Dead. Fear the Walking Dead's roster is packed. John levels up, and everybody's having a good time. I'm enjoying it like crazy, and I feel like the season so far has been incredible, even though it's only been 3 episodes. Really enjoying it. Kind of reminds me a little bit of The Walking Dead Season 5, where they're on the road, they're doing all this stuff. You got the hunters out there. Again, I just would have preferred, instead of the kids, like maybe a hunters type of a villainous group that could be kind of cool. But the way the Fear team kind of does things is it's not so obvious. The way they do their villains, they don't really bring in, at least we haven't seen so far with the current Fear team, just bringing in like a simple, type of villain like the Hunters. Well, they weren't that simple, but just, something like that. It's always kind of tricky and, something like that. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below. Thumb out the video if you don't mind. Share it. Subscribe to the channel, bottom left. And really excited now for Fear. Really feeling like, wow, they've really built up this roster. And, I can see Fear getting some more seasons now. I really can. It's really, really good right now. At least that's how I'm feeling. You guys can let me know how you're feeling in the comments. So for this one, see you guys back again soon for my predictions for episode 4, which looks like it's going to be with Strand and maybe Daniel and the others, Skidmark. That's for this one. See you guys again soon. As always, it's Trev saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.